you help your faculty secure NIH funding? That's what we're talking about today. So if you're new around here, I'm Sarah Dobson. I am a research grant consultant, and my team and I help early career researchers get funded at NIH. So just a preface to this conversation. Obviously, I'm coming at this from the perspective of somebody who is a grant consultant, someone who reviews grants day in and day out and has spoken to, at this point, hundreds of faculty, mostly early career, but not all, about the struggles and the challenges that they face in securing NIH funding, more specifically R01 equivalent funding, right? Which is truly the bread and butter of most research intensive universities on the health research side, right? So that's the perspective that I'm coming from. Some of the things that I bring up here may be a little bit controversial, but again, I'm coming at it from an advocacy perspective on behalf of the faculty that I speak to, because of the challenges and the struggles that they face to be able to support their own salaries, run their labs, get promoted, get tenure, all of that. So again, take what you will and leave the rest. But these are my observations from all the years that I've been working with faculty at this level, and of course, hearing from them directly. So let's dive in. I've got 5 sort of recommendations or suggestions for what you can do as the leader or decision maker in a department or a school or a faculty around supporting your faculty, and more particularly junior faculty, to get NIH R01 equivalent funding. So number 1 is to make the expectations for tenure and promotion explicit. What is it actually going to take for a faculty member to get tenure, to get promoted? And the reason that this one is important to mention is because a lot of the faculty that I speak to don't actually know what those explicit requirements actually are. And so they stress out trying to meet a bunch of unclear expectations around tenure and promotion. And so it's possible that they may end up investing their time and energy and capacity and resources in areas that aren't actually going to serve them to get promoted. And more specifically, in my case, and what is relevant to this conversation, is they are distracting themselves from the work that they can be doing on writing grants and publications, right? So the more clear you can be around what those expectations are for tenure and promotion, the easier it's going to be for faculty to figure out how to prioritize their time and energy and capacity to be able to meet those expectations, and not just kind of wander around in the dark and try to figure it out and end up using a lot more time and energy and capacity on things that aren't actually going to move the needle for them, right? So number 2 is, and this one might be quite controversial, but consider minimizing the requirements for non-tenure or promotion related activity for junior faculty, so that they are able to focus on the things that are going to make a difference for them in terms of tenure and promotion. And more often than not, of course, that is grants and publications, right? So again, if faculty are spending a lot of time on service activities, for example, or teaching activities, and those things don't actually matter all that much in tenure and promotion, that is going to distract them from the work that they really need to be doing to generate those grants and publications that are going to serve them and serve the institution, right? And again, all of this is coming back to what your objectives are as a department, as an institution, around being research focused, right? So if those are tied into the expectations for faculty around tenure and promotion, those need to be made really clear. And again, wherever possible, the activities that are not going to contribute to that overall objective for the department or the institution, or of course for the faculty members' tenure and promotion, if those can be minimized in the early years as faculty are really sort of developing their portfolio, that is going to make it a lot easier, again, to focus their energy and efforts on what is going to be most relevant and useful for them in their career progress, and also for the department and for the institution, right? Next is focus on promoting quality grant applications, not on setting quarterly or annual grant submission quotas. Honestly, the first time I heard about this, I was pretty shocked. And again, I'll just remind you that I run a business, right? I'm not sort of in any one particular institution, although I did in a previous life work within academic institutions. But in this case, hearing that faculty had quotas in terms of the number of grants that they needed to submit in a quarter, in a year, to me seemed completely sort of beside the point. If the purpose is to ensure that the faculty member is funded and that the institution benefits from the prestige, benefits from the indirect funds, right? If that's the goal, then the number of applications you submit can actually distract from that goal and make it more difficult to achieve in the long run. Because if you're just focusing on quantity and not on quality, it can take years to get a grant funded. But if you really focus on quality and focus on ensuring the best quality application that goes in, that is going to allow the faculty member to secure funding much, much, much faster, right? And so to me, these quotas are arbitrary, and they're really just about demonstrating that somebody is making an effort to get funded, right? But there are other ways to measure that. It doesn't have to be measured in the number of grants that get submitted. It can be measured in the efforts that are being made to improve the quality of the application. And we're going to talk about what that can look like in the next set of recommendations. But truly, finding ways to focus on quality rather than quantity of applications is going to benefit everyone in the long run. And conversely, focusing on quantity and on quotas can end up shooting you in the foot. All right. So number 4 is to support faculty to develop grantmanship skills. So it's one thing to really convey the scientific merit of a research idea. And of course, that is an essential part of any grant application. But what is also crucially important, but under-taught, underdeveloped in most faculty, is grantsmanship. And that is, at its very basic level, the ability to clearly and persuasively communicate the value of the research. And in the applications that get funded, again, in my experience, there is a balance of both, right? There obviously is clear scientific merit of the project, but it's also clearly and simply and persuasively conveyed to reviewers. And if you only have one and not the other, you're not going to get funded. You need both. And what is really underdeveloped in most faculty is those grantsmanship skills. What I will also say about grantsmanship is it, at its core, is about that clear and persuasive communication. But it's also about how you get there. And oftentimes that's really about giving yourself the time and the space to really think deeply about what you're doing and how you can sort of put yourself in your reviewer's shoes to convey that value of your research. And if you don't have that time and space to be able to do that, it's going to be much more difficult to clearly and persuasively communicate the value of your research. Hence what I was talking about earlier, right? Those clear expectations, being able to sort of shield faculty from sort of non-essential activities as they are sort of building their portfolio and trying to secure funding. Those pieces will allow them more time and space and capacity to produce quality applications rather than just kind of churning them out to no avail, right? Finally, you want to be able to identify resources that are available already within your own institution that can support grant success, and make sure that faculty are aware that these resources are available to them. So for example, internal mock reviews are supremely helpful. Again, mostly from the scientific merit side of things, not usually from the grantsmanship side of things. So there would be one example. Another example would be administrative support to submit applications, right? There's a lot more that goes into writing and securing funding than actually just writing. It's getting all the pieces together, making sure that you have everything you need to submit a full and compliant application. And oftentimes that requires quite a substantial amount of administrative support. So identifying what is available and what more can be done to support those activities is crucial. And then on the other side of that, making sure that you identify what is missing from that support and whether you need to bring that in-house or whether you want to hire out externally, right? So for example, in our business, we provide strategic grant reviews for faculty who are resubmitting R01s. They're very close to getting funded, but they just need some support, particularly around the grantsmanship piece, to get it across the pay line. And so individual faculty and institutions hire us to come in and consult on these grants that are very close and assure that they are successful the next time around. That is often not available in-house at an institution. If that's something that is useful to have in-house, that would be something to look at developing. But again, it's also possible to hire that in from the outside to support faculty in that sort of close but not quite stage, but even at the earlier stage around developing grantsmanship skills, right? What sort of resources do you have available within your institution or even within your department to support your faculty to develop those develop those grantsmanship skills, right? And if you don't have those available within your institution or department, is that something that you want to bring in-house, or is that something that you want to hire out? But what I will say is that if you want your faculty to be successful, if you want them to be competitive in this extremely challenging funding landscape, and you want to be able to bring in that level of grant funding, you are going to have to make investments there, right? Whether that is, again, in-house, something that you create a position and you hire in for that position, or you bring in consultants or other individuals who can support, who and you don't have to create a position for this person, and it doesn't have to be permanent, right? But the bottom line here is that faculty do need a lot of support to be successful, and there are lots of different ways that departments can support faculty to be successful. And again, just to recap what we've talked about here, we talked about making expectations for tenure and promotion explicit. We've talked about, wherever possible, shielding junior faculty from sort of non-essential activities and responsibilities as they are attempting to secure funding. We talked about focusing on promoting quality grant applications rather than quotas or expectations around quantity of submissions in a given time period. We talked about supporting faculty to develop grantsmanship skills, which are just as crucial as their sort of research skills and conveying scientific merit. And finally, we talked about identifying resources that are already available within your department and your institution and making sure that faculty are aware of those resources. And then on the other side of that, identifying areas of additional investment for support, whether that is creating and hiring in positions in-house to support with grantsmanship, or hiring consultants or other external folks to support faculty. So if you found that helpful, I do encourage you to reach out to me. You can do that at my email, which is hello@sarahdobson.co. And I look forward to hearing from you.